What's going on, guys? So if you hadn't had a chance to see the delivery of this absolutely amazing and new to the market Palomino Paws true off-road, off-grid, overland travel trailer, definitely check those videos out. This video is going to talk about several things, but first and foremost, we're going to take a deeper dive into the coupling system that's been installed on this unit and the one that comes on this unit. But I got to give a big shout out to the folks over at ROA Off Road in Salt Lake City. They have a South Carolina location that actually sells the Palomino Paws, so definitely check them out. Go to their website, rvsofamerica.com. I'll put a link in the video description. They're providing this to me for 2 months, so I can give you guys a really cool overview of what this thing's all about. And one of the things that I requested is I didn't want any training on it. I wanted to see what I could figure out on my own, and I'm learning interesting things about this thing all the time, including how the leveling system works, how the Garmin tablet that comes with it works, how smart this thing is, and the capabilities. So it's really cool. Anyways, let's dive into these coupling systems a little bit more in depth than the last video, just so you can kind of see the benefits of the aftermarket one, the factory one, and which one you may need if you're going to tow this. And then I'm going to ask you some questions and see if you specifically would want one over the other. If you haven't had a chance, please take a moment and hit that subscribe button so you can keep up to date with all the videos that I put out regarding this, as well as all the other RVs that I review, the trucks, the truck accessories, and all of that stuff. Hang tight, I'll be right back. Okay, so in front of me are essentially a couple different options. First of all, this is what's going to come on the trailer for a coupler. It's a 2 5/16 inch Demco coupler. This is an auto latching coupler, which means when you have it down like this, you drop it on the ball, this will lift up and lock into place. You can pin it right here to keep it from coming off or uncoupling. It has a cool articulating head to it. So right here, this can actually rotate into this space. And I think there's some flexibility in terms of forward and backwards dampening as well. Looks like you have some adjustability with it right here. And then you have a lockout feature. So you can put this into place, clamp it down if you don't want the hitch head to articulate. Not sure what circumstances you may not want it to articulate. Maybe if you're traveling down the highway and it's a super heavy wind and you think that the thing's getting off 2 of the tires. I don't know. I don't know what situation would actually determine, you know, whether you have this in place or not, because other articulating hitches I don't think have a lockout feature. So anyways, so this is what comes on it. I'm going to surmise that this weighs about 40 pounds. Probably more than that, actually. It is ridiculously heavy. This is steel. So even though everything here is all aluminum, this is certainly steel. Very, very heavy, heavy duty. And yeah, the coupler itself, you can tell, is very custom to this specific mounting style. It wasn't like just hodgepodge together to make it work. So this is articulating in 2 directions, left and right. Basically, if your trailer is going to do this number and you're going over some really rough terrain. Now, the hitch that they installed, or the coupler that the folks over at ROA Off Road installed on here, is the Mick hitch. Mick hitch. This is an Australian designed hitch. This is what I've been told the most premium style off-road hitch that you can buy, or coupler. I'm sorry, I know I keep saying hitch, but coupler. It has a really, really cool cone that slides over this, lifts up and locks into place. I can actually show you how easy that is. The ball mount is not lightweight. All right, so yeah, you have this inside of the 2-inch receiver on your vehicle. As you back up, lifts up and locks into place, and it's already locked into place. You probably saw this lift up slightly, just enough for this to pass through. It goes down, that little pin locks into place essentially, or it comes out to let you know it's hitched, and then you throw this pin inside like that, lock it in, and you can't uncouple it from your tow vehicle. Now, why would you want this first, this one, over this? Let me give you a couple examples. If you don't plan on overlanding, going to extreme crazy areas where you're going to have to go like this with your truck and your trailer behind it, you probably don't need the articulation that this one's going to give you. So side-to-side articulation may be all you need. You could very well, you know, be making a turn and the trailer has to kind of go into a bit of a gully or a ditch, and it could turn like this on you, and the hitch head's going to allow for that. So this one may be fine for, I'm going to say 99% of the folks who would probably buy a trailer like this, who don't plan on going through, you know, extreme overlanding conditions. They basically want a coupler that's going to be very, very universal to what they already have on their truck, perhaps. Maybe you already have a 2 5/16 inch, you know, Gen Y or B&W or Kurt or some ball already on your truck, and you don't want to have to get an all-new system, because you're never going to subject your trailer to conditions that would require the articulation like this. You only need this movement, or maybe you don't even need that movement, because, you know, pretty much all travel trailers on the market, except for these super off-road ones, don't have an articulating hitch, period, because the ball acts as your articulation point. The limiting factor on something like this is how far the ball goes before it binds up and essentially either starts putting torque on the hitch of your vehicle or on the tongue of your trailer. So that said, that's the reason why you may want this. For me, honestly, this would probably be 100% fine for any application I would need with this trailer. Basically, anywhere I would take it, any situation I would subject it to, I would just keep this on there. I wouldn't swap it out. There's no need for me to do it. The folks at RVs of America or ROA Off Road, they put this on because they torture tested the heck out of this thing. If you go to their YouTube channel, you'll see some of the places that they've taken this, and if they didn't have a coupler like this, they would have gotten bound up on something like this, or very highly likely that they would have gotten bound up on something like this and possibly damaged the vehicle, gotten themselves stuck or in a position that they couldn't get out of because they didn't have the articulation they needed. So that's the primary benefit of this, is that for most people that already have the ball in their truck, they already have a hitch for their truck, they already have their favorite Gen Y, they already have their favorite B&W, they have their favorite WaySafe hitch. All of that's already in place. This is going to directly work with it. If you want that extra articulation, you simply slide that back, and now you have that extra articulation. If you feel more comfortable with it not rotating while you're driving down the highway, you do that. Super, super simple, very easy to work with. Whenever it's time to uncouple, you just flip that up, raise up your jack, it comes off the ball, and you're good to go. So that is really cool. Now, why would somebody want this system? Well, I think you've probably figured out during this video. The main reason is you need that articulation. If you are somebody who plans on taking this to areas where it's very likely going to be at a very, very odd angle front to back versus your tow vehicle, and you could very possibly get caught up on the ball. Basically, the truck's trying to do this number, and at some point, this isn't going to let the ball move anymore, and you're either going to lift, you know, the trailer tires off the ground, or you're going to lift the back axle of your truck off the ground. Well, this would be better for you if you're going to be in those situations, just because of that articulation, you know, forward and back like this, because that's what this one won't do. This. And then the side-to-side articulation that this one also can do, but this one coupling it with forward and back basically give you an unlimited type of articulation that you may need if you're going to be towing. So very, very cool setup. The other thing I like about this system better, this one right here, the McHitch, is how easy it is to hitch up without needing to raise or lower your trailer. You really don't need to. Well, I take that back. You do have to raise or lower your trailer to align it so you can go straight back onto it. But once you're aligned, for instance, with this, you get your truck underneath it. First of all, you have to raise it high enough to get your ball underneath it. You get your ball underneath it. Then you have to line up to it, drop it back down, hitch it in place, pin it in place, and then hook up everything else. With this one, once you get this at the right height, you simply back up into it. This pin's going to lift up, lock down in place. You throw your pin in, and you're done. All you have to do is then retract your front tongue jack to get on the road. So again, for most people who get a trailer like this, I think you'd probably not only be fine with this one, you'd prefer this one, because again, it's compatible with the hitch you already spent a lot of money on. When you get this system, it's going to come with this whole assembly. You'll have to provide the shank or the hitch mount for it to attach to, but once you do that, you're all set. But the other thing to keep in mind, though, is you're going to have to carry an extra piece of equipment with you, because for me, if I have my B&W or my WaySafe in the back of my truck, I'm going to have to take it out, put this system in, lock it in place to use it. So just something, again, to think about. Now, What's also nice about both of these systems in conjunction with the Palomino Pause is the use of air suspension. Because of the air suspension, if I get the front height that I'm looking for off the ground, basically, whether I have a rise or a drop right here, as long as I have the ground clearance I need off the ground and it's not sitting super low, I'm honestly able to just adjust the air suspension on the trailer to level out the RV. So what I basically mean is, if I dump all the air out of the air suspension right now, the back would sit really low, the front would sit really high, and it would look really awkward. I'd have to get a drop mount right here, or basically a lower hitch assembly right there, and then I'd have to level out the system. And a lot of times you do that utilizing weight distribution, which you can clearly see up front. This can't support most traditional weight distribution systems. I don't know really any weight distribution system you would be able to use on this, because there's no way to attach the bars. It's an aluminum frame, which means it's highly likely that you could damage or hurt the frame just by tightening those L brackets if you could find a spot for them. They're definitely not going to go back there because your spring bars wouldn't be long enough. You can't even use the new BMW Continuum, because there's no spot right here to actually put the part that comes up here. There's basically no way to use weight distribution on this trailer, at least that I'm aware of. You can't use the Anderson setup because, again, you still need to put brackets on the side of your A-frame. I am not aware of any weight distribution system that you could use with the frame on this or many other super off-road, off-grid trailers, especially the ones that I reviewed. So because of that, you need some way to kind of level everything out, right? And the easiest way to do that with something like this is to adjust your airbags. But the other part you definitely going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure that whatever you're towing this with is not going to need that weight distribution. That's a huge part of it. You can probably see from the side here, the tires sit pretty dang far back, which means there's a lot of weight transferring to the front of this. We'll get a scale out in a future video, and we'll actually weigh it to see exactly how much weight is transferring. But I can imagine, my guess, if this has a dry weight, which I've gone over, but just to show you, this has a dry weight of 7,546 pounds and a GVWR of 9,457 pounds, or 59 pounds, and a cargo carrying capacity of 1,854 pounds. Once you load this front area up, you have a kitchen already on the other side. You put all your supplies inside of here. You got your propane filled up. You got, other stuff here. This specific unit being offset with a lot of batteries and stuff that are in the back, which is kind of like a bit of a saving grace for it. I have a feeling that you're probably going to be pushing probably about 1,000 pounds worth of tongue weight on this thing. That's my guess. As it sits right now, which is what would be considered dry, no water in the holding tanks, none of that stuff, I'm going to guess there's probably about 750 to 800 pounds worth of tongue weight. My theory. We'll see in another video whenever I get this thing on a scale, a digital platform scale using load sensors. I'm not talking about anything that's less accurate. This thing is super accurate to like 2 pounds. So we'll check that. We'll see what it's at. But again, back to the couplers. If you don't have a tow vehicle that can handle this weight and it starts sagging under that weight, no matter what you do to level out the back, it's not going to give you the weight back on your front axle. So it's going to be really interesting to see how much weight is actually transferring to the truck, especially the Denali over here once we hook up to it, because that truck has like a conventional tow capacity of like 8,800 pounds and a conventional hitch weight capacity of like 880 pounds. So if we exceed 880 pounds with this, then that truck's going to be sagging, and there's no weight distribution system I can use to level that truck back out. But more importantly, not level it back out, but add that weight back to the front axle. I could always add airbags or timberins or sumo springs, something like that, but that's not going to give me the distribution back to the front axle. All that's going to do is lift the back of the truck up. It's not going to transfer weight from the back of the truck to the front of the truck and make the front heavy again. It actually might increase leverage on the back, which could potentially even remove more weight. Or whenever you hit a speed bump or some ruts in the road, it could actually cause more serious issues. Just because the truck looks level doesn't mean that the truck is actually handling weight properly on the front and the back axles. That said, yeah, that's pretty much the difference between these two. I would love your feedback. Give me your opinion. Would you opt for the standard hitch that comes on here, the 2 5/16 inch hitch that probably works with the hitch, or sorry, coupler, I know I keep saying hitch, that probably works with the hitch you already own or the hitch that you would like to own? Or would you rather go with the Mick hitch, which is a far more versatile hitch in terms of being able to back up to it in couple, being able to go over super, super crazy articulation, crazy off-road scenarios? Which one would work better for you and your situation? For me, it's almost like a hands-down winner with this one. I would absolutely get this one. I don't think there's any situation I would specifically subject a trailer like this to, or will subject it to, that would require the articulation this has. But if you are an overlander, if you're an off-gridder, then upgrading to something like this might be incredibly important to you, and you may see this as the saving grace for you to be able to go out to the places you would like to go with a trailer like this. Anyways, guys, I sure hope you've enjoyed this video. Got a lot of content to come on here. I'm going to be going through so many different aspects of this absolutely awesome Palomino Pause. Again, big shout out to the folks over at ROA Off Road, RVs of America. They sell these at their South Carolina location, so give them a call if you are interested. This is a game-changing unit when it comes to what typically comes out of, you know, the RV manufacturing headquarters. This is so different and positive in every possible way. Very, very cool. Guys, again, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up. We'll talk to you again very soon.